What is up, YouTubes? Today we got a special video. You guys been asking for it, so today I'm gonna be giving you guys a blue bleach deck list. So here's my deck list. There's no secrets. It's all about to be out there, and I'm gonna try and help you guys out who've been asking in the comments about the blue bleach deck list. So we're just gonna start off with the standard zero cost, and we're gonna go from there, and we're just gonna this is the first time doing this, so bear with me. So first off, we have the zero cost Ichigo, draw one, trash one. That's pretty standard stuff. Nothing too special there. Most decks will run four of those. I mean, you want your raid targets. So then we have four of Zangetsu. Zangetsu is what makes Ichigo unblockable by 3,000 or less. So after your raid and your Ichigo minus, that's going to be majority of cards because he gives everything that's over 2,000. He gives everything that's over 2,000 minus 1,500. So yeah, Sengetsu is one of your key cards as well that you want to be discarding off of Ichigo. Next card for zero cost is Rukia. I only run three. I'm honestly, you could argue that I could go down to three of Zangetsu and four of Rukia, but you'll see why I only run three zero cost of Rukia. So um, that's 9, 10, 11. So I run 11 zero costs, which is, I feel like 10 to 12 is usually a good ratio, or 12 and 10 and above. Anything below 10 is, you're kind of a wild person. But yeah, I run 11 zero cost because you got to make cuts somewhere. Moving on to the zero cost. For the zero cost, we got four Kisuke. He's your searcher. He can search your Ichigo raids. He searches top three, I'm pretty sure, or top four. Yep, top three. I was right. Top three, and he's a draw trigger. He searches Ichigos and he searches your Orihimes. So just a really good card. And some people like the Psycho Kisuke, and like I said, he's a draw trigger, so pretty good one cost. Usually you wanna have, if you're below 12 zero costs, for the most part, you wanna run four ones and four twos. Four threes is I don't think threes usually count in that ratio. But yeah, you usually want to run four ones and four twos if you're running below 12 zero costs. So moving on to my two costs. For my two costs, I got three of this Ichigo, which was one of the best cards in the deck. This Ichigo says if you discard a card, it cannot be blocked by 4,000 or more. So usually what you want to do is save this, keep this in the back line. Excuse me, keep one or two of these in the back line to go for game if you can. And then let's say your opponent has two life, and at the end of the game they only have 4Ks and up for blockers. You can move two of these up and discard two, and basically get two unblockable swings. So even if they get an active trigger, it won't matter. The only way your opponent can really play around this is if they play a card in their deck that's like has 3,500. Because like I said, if you discard Zangetsu, it can't be blocked by 3K or less either. So that's usually the play. Usually you want to use this in tandem with Zangetsu. So I run three of those, and then I personally run one of these. It comes in handy. One of the Rukias, it searches top five for an action too, and you don't have to discard a card. Yeah, it is a brick, but it is another raid target. Since it is another raid target for Rukia, and it does come in handy sometimes to search your action two cards, like what that we'll get into later on. So that's what I use. I use one of Rukia for that. All right, now let's get into our three costs. For our three costs, I run two Rukia, two of the action energy two Rukia. Basically, she says if you have an action two in the front line, she's draw a card. If you do not have an action two in the front line, she's draw one, trash one. So usually, like I'll set up my Renji, or well, I'll get into that. I'll set up an action two, and then I will play her out just to get a draw and to set up my energy and also to get another raid target. So I really like this card, but she is a brick, so but I think two is fine, me personally. Um, and these are 3 costs as well. I run 3 of the Orihime. She is one of the best cards in your deck because she can bounce. She is a somewhat of a tempo play. Well, I don't want to say she's more of a tempo. She's more of like a you already have your stuff established and you're trying to get your resources back. Orihime can do that for you because she can bounce a 2 or less from your field and then grab a 2 or less from grave. I'm pretty sure. Yep. So that's what she does. And usually you can grab your Zangetsus back from the grave, but usually I'll show you guys another card that you usually want to grab back with Orihime. But I run 3 of her, and then I run 1 Byakuya for my other color trigger because he does share the color trigger with Orihime. And this Byakuya, he's really good because even though he's 2 action points, he's not really. So either if you already played out a Rukia, he's an action 1, and then if you play him out for action 2, the next rookie you play is 1 less action. So you can essentially play him out and then raid into Rukia for free. And then in theory, still have 1 more action point to do whatever you want to do, whether you want to Bonkai extend your play or whatever the case may be. But and he's when attacking draw a card, so just a really good. I think Byakuya as a 1 of is really good. I mean, you could entertain a 2 of, but I think it's important to have your energy set up in this deck, so that's why I run. I don't have it on a 2-2 split. I have it on him at 1 and Orihime at 3, just so I can have more energy. All right, moving into our action 2 cards. Well, that was one of them with the Byakuya. Here's 3 that we run. We run 3 Renji, one of the best cards in the deck because he's action 2, but not really because you can discard 1 to restand an action point. And then if you play another action 2 card, usually another Renji, you can restand. You can activate main if there's another action 2 on the front line. He can set himself to active. So that's a little combo in this deck that you can set both Renjis to active, or maybe just 1 Renji to active. Say you play another action 2 card that is not Renji, you can still restand the Renji, and basically you got a 3 cost 4,000 power, that just restood on your, that can attack the turn that is played. So really good, really strong card, Renji. All right, moving on to our next action 2. We run 3 of the bounce Ichigo. I was not really sold on this card at first, and I'm still kind of wonky on it. I went down to 2 at one point. It's a good card because it gives you filter when it's on the front line. But I mean, it's essentially like a Yuji raid in one card because you action 2, you can bounce a 4K back to your opponent's hand, but it is 2 action points, and sometimes it hurts when you play an action 2 card and their opponent just removes it or they bounce it back to your hand. But if you use this in tandem with Renji, I mean, it doesn't feel as bad. So like I said, you can restand that Dom with Renji and play one of these out. Now you just clear their 4K, and then you can swing in with Renji. So it's more of a tempo play. If you see this like at the beginning of the game on tempo when you already have your energy established, it feels really good. But in any other case, it's more of just like a win more slash like a filter card. So, and it's a raid target. So that's why I went up to 3 because, you always want more raid targets for Ichigo. So, all right, let's get into our event cards. Um, Obviously, we got the standard 4 Bankai, 4 final triggers. I don't have to really go into that. That's pretty much every deck in UA runs 4 finals, and I'm pretty sure you already know what this is. 4 specials. Getsuga Jujisho in our deck. If you don't know, if you discard it off of Ichigo, it gives that Ichigo double attack. You just have to place a card from your hand to the bottom of the deck. Really, really good card. One of the really the cards you really want to see in this deck because that Ichigo getting double attack is really strong. Moving on, another strong card is his name is Zangetsu, basically a pot of greed, draw 2. It is a brick, but it is amazing to have. I wasn't sold on it at first because it was a brick, but you need this card. You need this card to refill your hand. You need this card you can loop it back with Orihime and draw 2. You can draw 4 in 1 turn if you really want to. Or in the way I like to use it, which my friend Jose told me to, which makes sense. Is you want to discard this off of Ichigo effect, and you draw two, and then you swing an Ichigo, you draw again. So you draw three if you discard this off of Ichigo effect. So this is one of your strongest cards. It sucks that it doesn't have a trigger, but if it had a trigger, it would be insanely broken. So it is what it is. You can't have everything, and yeah. So just try to loop these back with your Orihime or use these with your Ichigo raids. And now into the raids. I'm gonna save the best for last. Um, we got 4 Ichigo raids, and obviously the deck is Blue Bleach. He is one of the MVPs in this deck, and obviously he is the main card that will refill your hand. I mean, besides the card I just showed you, which was his name is Zangetsu, Ichigo is the main way you're going to refill your hand, and always keep resources, because if you discard a Zangetsu or Juji or Getsuga card, he he gains when attacking, draw a card. So Ichigo is one of your strongest cards in the deck, and he's amazing to set up. If you just set up your energy, as I've said in past videos, and you get him out of life, he can just -2 things by 15 and just end your opponent's attack phase just by just because you set up your energy. So one of one of the strongest cards, if not the strongest card in your deck. It's debatable, but for the last 4 cards, I think these are the best 4 cards in the entire deck. She is the true MVP. Rukia Rukia is the MVP of this deck, because she says when there's an action 2 on your front line and you raid into her, she freezes something for good. So she freezes a body on your opponent's field for good. If you freeze their body and their opponent cannot uh, get rid of the Rukia next turn, it is just a bad time, because you're taking up space on their board, and they have to decide whether they want to leave it on board and hope they draw into something to remove the Rukia, or if they just want to play over it. And most times, people will try to remove this Rukia as fast as they can. So she essentially protects your other raids and your other bodies, because she is such a threat. You know, she is such a threat, and she's the best card. If blue is all about stun, and she literally is the queen of stunning. So you want to run 4 Rukia. If you don't run 4 Rukia in this deck, you are trolling. So um, yeah, that is my list for Blue Bleach. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys will start to dominate in your locals with Blue Bleach. But like I said, this is my list and how I play. Let me move my camera. Sorry. This is my list, and based upon how I play, you may not play the game of UA like me. So just use this deck list as a starting point and play test with your friends if you can, and go from there and see what you like, see what you don't like. Let me know in the comments your guys' list, or things you guys done different, some ideas you may have for me. But this is the list that has worked for me. I know in my past few videos I wasn't showcasing it the best, but every dog has his day. Some days you win, some days you lose, and it is what it is. Just because you lose one time with your deck doesn't mean that you need to revamp the whole deck. Sometimes it's just not your day, and that's okay. So I hope you guys like this video. Please like it, share it, subscribe, all that stuff. I'll be bringing you guys a lot more UA content and a lot more One Piece content. So stay tuned. Appreciate you guys for commenting and just rocking with your boy. And hope to see more and more with you guys. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.